Patagonia, 66 million years ago. It's a dry season and the land here hasn't seen rain for many months. But all that is about to change. This dried up riverbed will soon flow once again. And it is all thanks to this one particular mountain, Mineral Mountain. What makes this mountain so special is the vast amount of minerals within it. When it rains, the water seeps through the cracks and crevices, loosening the minerals within. These are then carried down by rivers and streams to the valley below. Soon, this barren landscape will be transformed into a lush paradise full of plants and vegetation. But for now, the land remains lifeless, or so it may seem. A desert beetle foraging for food in the sand, but he must be careful not to become food himself. A desert spider on the lookout for his next meal, and a beetle would make a tasty snack. As clouds gather above the valley, the rains have finally arrived. This change in the season triggers a migration of giants. Dreadnoughtus, one of the largest animals to ever walk the earth. Weighing in at 65 tons, 30 meters long, and their necks tower 20 meters into the sky. These animals are massive. This herd are being led by one particular female, the matriarch. She is slightly darker in colour than the rest of them, and is the oldest member of this herd. She is over 100 years of age, and is leading this herd back to where she was born 100 years ago, the breeding grounds. Many of the members of this herd are probably related to her. Generations and generations of passing down genes mean that many of them will share the same bloodline. She has led them to their first checkpoint, a small watering hole where the herd can rest and get a well-needed drink. Her skin has dulled with age, but her memory and wisdom has not. She knows exactly where she is going, and she knows the threats along the way. Giganotosaurus, the giant southern lizard. This pair of brothers have picked up the scent of the Dreadnoughtus herd. They are over 13 meters long, 3.5 meters tall, and weigh over 8 tons. This is not a good time for a lie down. The herd must stick together. The predators are looking for any weaknesses they can find. They lie in wait, conserving their energy and waiting for the herd to make a mistake. It seems that luck is on the Giga's side as a huge sandstorm is on the way. The odds have turned in the Giga's favour as chaos commences throughout the herd. Visibility is next to nothing. The brothers cannot allow an opportunity like this to go to waste, and they move in for the kill. These storms can go on for many hours, and as the wind picks up, more and more sand is thrown into the atmosphere, blocking out the sun. Having such a long neck now puts the dreads at a disadvantage, as they struggle to even see the ground beneath their feet. A trip or a fall could be a disaster, and with predators lurking around, it doesn't take much to cause a panic. One of the brothers tests the herd with a mock charge, and it works. The herd begin to panic, and a stampede breaks out. In the chaos, members become disorientated, barging into one another, and some becoming lost from the rest of the group. As the sandstorm begins to clear, calm is restored. However, one of the Dreadnoughtus did not make it out alive. Unfortunately for this young female, this will be her last migration. During the chaos of the stampede, she was trampled over by the rest of the herd. The brothers gorge themselves until they can't eat anymore. The scent of the carcass travels for many miles, attracting more gigas to the area. But her death will not go to waste, as there is enough meat here to feed an entire ecosystem for many weeks. With so many top predators in one place, fights are inevitable. Once the giggers are finished with the carcass, the scavengers move in. Nothing is wasted. And high in the sky, like modern-day vultures, pterosaurs circle above, waiting for the opportune moment to land. The watering hole is finally starting to dry up, and the matriarch decides that it is time to move on and continue their journey towards the breeding grounds. The Dreadnoughtus herd have reached their final checkpoint before reaching the breeding grounds. Here they meet up with other herds to create one massive super herd. This gathering is over 100 strong and will continue to grow day by day as more and more herds arrive. The matriarch has almost completed her duty in leading her herd towards the breeding grounds. She gets herself rehydrated and refueled, ready for the last push. There is not much further to go. Mineral Mountain can now be seen in the distance. Some animals are so massive, they do not need to travel in herds. This old male is so huge, he wanders alone. His name is Grey. He is 25 meters tall. He weighs nearly 70 tons. And he has roamed this land for over 150 years. When dreads get this big, predators are no longer a concern for them. They are just too huge to take on. He is on his way to pass on his genes once again. However, Dreadnoughtus are not the only species making this journey. Iguanodon. A large hadrosaur and one of the most successful dinosaurs to have ever lived. They conquered every single continent, and their reign lasted from the Jurassic all the way to the Cretaceous period. Gray and the Iguanodon have stumbled across each other at a small watering hole. They know that his presence offers them protection and will stay alongside him for the rest of the journey. "10 meters long and weighing in at 5 tons, Iguanodon are big. But they are dwarfed by the sheer gigantism of Gray. The next day, and as the sun rises over Mineral Mountain, the herd have finally arrived. Not far behind them is Gray and the Iguanodon. Everyone is eager for a drink. What was once a barren landscape is now teeming with life. Once everyone has quenched their thirst, their main priority is to eat as much as possible to pack on the calories, ready for breeding. Female Dreadnoughtus can lay up to 100 eggs. This requires a tremendous amount of calcium and protein. They bulldoze through the forest, eating every plant in sight. Likewise, the males need to pack on the calories too. They need their strength in order to fight rival males for the right to breed. As the dreads eat from the treetops, the Iguanodon graze from low shrubs and plants below. Some of the Iguanodon have started to change in colour. They begin to shed their old desert skin for a new, lush green one. This helps them camouflage themselves better in their new environment. Like the dreads, the Iguanodon are also here to breed, and competition can become intense. These two males battle it out, stabbing one another with their thumb spikes. such a gathering has not gone unnoticed. Predators from far and wide are drawn to the breeding grounds like a magnet, including some old friends. The brothers are back, and they are hungry. Their acute sense of smell has led them straight to the iguanodon herd. The iguanodon are blissfully unaware that they are being hunted. Silently, they creep through the forest, edging ever closer to their prey. They are almost within striking distance. In the chaos, one becomes separated from the group. They drive him out into the desert. Out here, there is nowhere to hide. All he can do is turn and face his attackers. The iguanodon hits back, stabbing the giga in the throat with its thumb spike. But with 2 gigas, it does not look good for the iguanodon. It is over. The brothers have earned their prize. This iguanodon will sustain them both for at least another week. Predators like these are vital. They bring balance to the ecosystem by keeping herbivore populations in check. Without them, numbers could spiral out of control, having devastating effects on the environment. Dawn, and as the sun rises over the valley, the dinosaurs begin to awaken from their slumber. The iguanodon are early risers and get a head start on the day. Not far behind them are the dreadnoughtus. After a long night's rest, they are refreshed and ready to go. And so are the predators. And it looks like someone has overslept. First on the agenda is breakfast. These herbivores have an enormous appetite and can consume tons of vegetation every day. All this eating produces a tremendous amount of dino dung. But this waste does not go to waste. The dung beetle, nature's cleanup crew. They feed off the dinosaur dung. They roll it into balls before burying it in their burrows. But not all the insects here are so helpful. Mosquitoes. These are a pest to the dinosaurs. They may not be able to penetrate through their thick hide, but there are places they can get to. Like the inside of their ears. They are nothing more but a nuisance for the giants. Female mosquitoes lay hundreds of eggs in the lakes and rivers across the valley. This attracts fish which swim upriver from connecting streams to feed off the larvae. All this fish brings one last traveller to the breeding grounds. Pterosaurs. This particular species is called Marodactylus. They have flown all the way from northeast Brazil. Here they roost on the cliffs of Mineral Mountain. Usually they would occupy the coastline cliffs, feeding from the fish in the ocean. However, the fish here are so nutritious that it is worth the visit. With a mouth full of needle-sharp teeth, they are well adapted to grasping slippery fish just below the surface of the water. With a wingspan of over 20 feet, they are almost twice the size of modern-day albatross. This is the Lord of the Skies. His name is Malcolm. He sits upon his rock like a modern-day meerkat, watching over his flock. Whilst the rest of the colony feed, he is on lookout duty for predators. If a predator is spotted, he will let out a distinctive call to alert the others of the danger. Tropiognathus, a large pterosaur, and one that specialises in hunting other pterosaurs. With a wingspan of nearly 9 meters, they are considerably larger than Marodactylus. He zones in on the colony, looking for the weakest members of the group. He flies directly into the centre of the flock, sending them into disarray. The predator has chosen his target and locks on. But the prey fights back and manages to escape the predator's grip. He makes a dash for the safety of the forest. But the predator is not giving up that easily. He flies down to collect his prize before returning to his mate upon the cliffs. She has been patiently waiting for his return while guarding their nest. He shares the leftovers of his catch with her. Tropiognathus mate for life, and each year pairs reunite to mate and to nest on Mineral Mountain. During the mating season, male crests turn deep red to attract females and show they are ready for breeding. They take their roles in turns. While one goes out hunting, the other stays behind to guard the nest. It's now the female's turn to go out and hunt, while the male stays behind on guard duty. Exhausted from a long morning of hunting, he decides to take an afternoon nap. With the Marodactylus already on high alert, the female seeks a different prey. They are opportunists. They will eat anything from pterosaurs, small mammals, snakes and lizards, and even small dinosaurs. She scans the area, looking for any potential prey on the ground, and it looks like she's spotted one. Small therapod dinosaurs in the undergrowth are unaware that she is watching them. She selects her target and she strikes. But the prey just manages to get away. Most hunts end in failure, but she does not give up. She can't. The survival of her offspring depend on her. She will try again later. The pack have finally built up the courage to come out of hiding, and they come down to the river for a drink. But one lingers just a little too long. Distracted by the need to quench his thirst, he doesn't realise the predator is right behind him. Her persistence has paid off. She flies back to her mate to share the spoils with him. And once again, it's now his turn to go out and hunt. They continue like this throughout the day. With hungry chicks to feed, there is no time to rest. But with the light fading fast, that will have to be enough hunting for today. As the sun begins to set, the pair settle in for the night after a long day's work. The Dreadnoughtus herd are finally ready for breeding. They have spent the last few weeks doing nothing but eating. With all this eating, they have cleared a vast opening in the middle of the forest. It is here where they gather to mate. The males begin their mating displays, standing up on their back legs, making themselves seem even bigger than they really are. They then throw their weight forward and stomp the ground with their front feet, showing their true immense power. And with animals this size, it is enough to make the ground shake beneath their feet. They also let out a sequence of bellows to try and woo the females. The females, however, will only mate with the strongest, largest, and most healthiest males in order to give their offspring the best chance of survival. But there is one that outcompetes them all. Grey has arrived. The other males bow in submission. Others flee for the forest. He walks directly into the center of the herd, asserting his dominance. Once he has quenched his thirst, you'll get down to the business of mating. He will mate with the majority of the females here to ensure his genes are passed on and defend this herd from any threats. The matriarch has took an interest in the old male, Grey. He lets out a mating call to try and impress her. Then they nuzzle. They release low-frequency bellows to one another that only they can hear. She seems to approve. His size speaks for himself. She knows that with his genes, their offspring will have the greatest chance of survival. He leads her into the forest. Later that evening, they mate, passing on their genes to the next generation. The next day, and the titanosaurs continue to mate, while the gigas are on patrol, looking for any weaklings within the herd. This young bull has arrived late to the breeding ceremony, and his presence has not gone unnoticed by Grey. So far, all males have kept their distance from Grey, but this one confidently walks directly towards him. He lets out a warning call, but this new arrival is unfazed. The females make cover for the forest. Grey's reign is about to be challenged. They size each other up while the gigas watch from the tree line. They know that whoever loses this fight will be more vulnerable and easier to take down. And Grey wastes no time. Using his colossal weight, he barges into the young, inexperienced male, knocking him off his feet and falling to the ground. The predators may have an easy meal. But this young bull is not finished yet. He rises to his feet, ready to fight again. But no matter how determined he may be, he is still no match for the size and strength of Grey. Eventually, he admits defeat and is chased out of the clearing and into the forest. The brothers don't waste any time and begin the hunt. And they are not the only ones. 2 female giggers join in on the chase. Together, if they work as a team, they may be able to bring the giant down. But they must be cautious. Even though the bull is tired, a swing from his tail or a stomp from his foot could lead to injury or even death. But little does he know, his luck has run out as he's reached the end of the road. With nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, his only option is to turn and fight. A Giganotosaurus's primary weapon is its bite. Their jaws hold 76 serrated teeth, and each tooth measures 8 inches long, perfectly adapted for slicing through flesh. Exhausted from his fight with Grey, the bull barely has the strength to fight 4 fully grown giggers. One brave female is the first to attack. The rest join in, taking it in turns to strike. As the conflict intensifies, the giggers step up their game. While one distracts, another attacks. And with 4 opponents, the male can barely see where the attacks are coming from. He is completely outnumbered. They continuously attack him, wearing him down, giving him no time to recover. Until eventually, the giant can take no more. The predator's teamwork has paid off. There is enough meat here to satisfy all 4 of them for at least well over a week. Nothing will be wasted. They will sit and guard their prize until there is nothing but bones left, and the rest will be left to the scavengers.
Jungle.
Many weeks have passed since the dinosaurs began to mate, and now the time has come for them to finally lay their eggs. Everyone is busy preparing for the arrival of the next generation. The future of their species rests on their shoulders. Many of the dinosaurs use the cover of the forest to make their nests. This female Dreadnoughtus has laid over 100 eggs deep within the forest, and it has not gone unnoticed. Little does she know that she is being spied on. Once she has buried her clutch, she leaves them to their fate. They are now completely on their own. With the mother gone, the scavengers move in. The pack wastes no time and begin raiding the nest. Each egg is about the size of a football and packed full of calories and protein. Once they are full up on eggs, they leave and head down to the river to wash down their meal. Packs like these are an absolute nightmare for the mothers. Everywhere they go, a trail of hungry mouths follow them. On the other side of the forest, the matriarch is also looking for a safe place to lay her eggs. And it seems she has the same problem. Everywhere she goes, she is followed by hungry scavengers. They're far too fast for her to lose in this thick forest, so instead she patiently waits until they lose interest and finally leave. She checks the coast is clear and begins to dig her nest. Once buried, she begins to make her way back to the rest of the herd. But, unfortunately, it looks like the coast wasn't clear after all. A pack of scavengers have been patiently waiting for the mother to leave. And now that she's gone, they begin to dig up her nest. But after many hours of digging, they have come across 0 eggs. The matriarch has fooled them. This nest is nothing more than a decoy. Whilst the scavengers have been distracted digging up this empty nest, she has been building her real nest far away from these hungry thieves. clever trick from this wise old sauropod. But she doesn't put all her eggs in one nest. By splitting them up into different locations dotted around the breeding grounds, she increases the chances of survival for them significantly. So if a nest is raided, only a few eggs will be destroyed, rather than the whole clutch. In a few months' time, the eggs will hatch, and the breeding grounds will be full of baby dinosaurs. And they will have to grow fast in order to be ready to embark on an incredible journey. Accompanied by the adults, they will set off on their first migration to their homeland in the north. This is where the Dreadnoughtus and the Iguanodon spend the majority of their lives, gorging themselves on the thick vegetation within the jungle. However, some of the animals here do not migrate to the breeding grounds. They stay behind throughout the wet season. Carnotaurus, the flesh-eating bull. One of the most well-known dinosaurs to have ever lived. Their two iconic horns on top of their heads make them easily recognizable and stand out from other dinosaurs. This young male has come down to the river in search of pebbles and stones. But only the best pebbles will do. He collects them in his mouth and returns them to his lair. And here are the fruits of his labour. He has spent the entire wet season building a nest. He adds his new pebbles to the pile and arranges them carefully. Now that his nest is complete, he must guard it and keep it safe. Down by the banks of a river, an old male Carnotaurus sleeps peacefully. His name is Chip, and he is famously well known for robbing other males of their nests. He is the biggest Carnotaur in the area, and with the gigas gone, he has the whole homeland to himself. While the other males work tirelessly building their nest throughout the wet season, Chip spends it resting and taking food from others. He lets them do the hard work for him. Why bother making a nest when you can just steal it off a young, inexperienced male? But this young male won't give up his nest without a fight. They size each other up and begin to butt heads. But Chip doesn't play by the rules. But to Chip's surprise, this young male shows no sign of backing down. He hasn't spent the whole wet season building a nest for it to be stolen at the last minute. In the end, Chip decides it isn't worth the risk and returns back to his spot by the river. A dust bath and a nap seem much more appealing. Hidden in the bushes, a female Carnotaurus has been watching the fight and is very impressed with the young male's ability to defend his nest. She announces her presence and begins to inspect the male's nest. Females are very choosy, and though this may not be the best nest that she's seen so far, this male's feistiness seems to have won her over. His hard work has paid off, and he leads her into the forest where they will mate. Soon, this nest will be full of eggs, and both parents will have to give everything they've got in order to protect their offspring from the challenges ahead. The wet season is over. The lakes and rivers are bone dry. The time has come for all the dinosaurs to leave. This year's hatchlings will now have to embark on their very first migration. The adults lead the way, while the young stay close for protection. And they need all the protection that they can get. They are still not yet fully grown. And everywhere the herd go, a trail of hungry predators follow. Meanwhile, back at the homeland, the Carnotaurus parents are busy tending to their nest. The female has laid up to 10 to 15 eggs. She sits on her clutch to keep them incubated and protect them from the elements, while the male stands guard. But then something in the sky attracts their attention. The Marodactylus have arrived. The male knows this can only mean one thing. The Dreadnoughtus and the Iguanodon are not far away. Which is great news for him, as this means there will be more prey on the menu for him and his family, and he goes out in search to see if they have arrived yet. Whilst his mate tries to take a well-needed nap. The Pterodactylus used the homeland as a pit stop. Here they can rest and refuel before returning to the coastline cliffs of northeast Brazil. They roost in the treetops, while Malcolm once again is on lookout duty for predators. The Tropiognathus have followed them here and scour the canopy looking for any vulnerable targets. And it is not only predators in the sky. Down on the ground, fearsome beasts lurk within the jungle. Chip is on the prowl. He is also waiting for the arrival of the herd. The Pterodactylus keep a watchful eye over him. The herd have finally returned. They have spent the last few weeks marching through the desert relentlessly to get back to their homeland. The matriarch has successfully guided her herd back safely. The lone bull grey has made it back too, and the pair reunite. The migration is over, and now finally all of the dinosaurs can rest. The cycle is complete until the next migration. In the depths of the jungle, a herd of iguanodon graze in an open clearing. Alongside them is their own personal watchtower, a Dreadnoughtus bull. And they need all the extra eyes they can get, because not far away, the young male Carnotaurus is on the prowl. He is hungry and can smell the thick scent of iguanodon in the air. The herd can sense danger is close and become nervous. tries to close the distance between him and his prey. It's now or never. He seizes his chance. The herd make a break for the river, but the Carno is hot on their tails. Panic runs riot through the herd. Carnotaurus are excellent sprinters. They have two large muscles in their tails connected to their thigh bones. When these are contracted, they propel the animal forward. The young male takes a shortcut through the forest in an attempt to cut them off. One iguanodon struggles to keep up with the rest of the group. And with the threat believed to be gone, he decides to take a rest and catch his breath. But this is a fatal mistake. The flesh-eating bull emerges from the bushes. And battle commences. Carnotaurus don't only use their teeth as weapons. Lunging forward, the young male stabs the iguanodon with one of his horns. But the iguanodon gives him a taste of his own medicine and stabs him with one of his thumb spikes. The Carnotaurus goes in for the kill, but is out-wrestled by the iguanodon. He tries again. And this time, it works. This feisty young male has earned his prize, and he tucks in. However, South America's top predator has other ideas. The brothers are back to reclaim their throne. The Carnotaurus has two options: either run or fight. He stands his ground, but against such a formidable predator, his chances are next to nothing. He decides to retreat and abandon the carcass. And the giggers get a free lunch. Later that evening, the sky is lit by the full moon. But the moonlight is not strong enough to penetrate through this thick jungle. Down here, it is completely pitch black. But thanks to our night vision cameras, we are able to see the dinosaurs and what they get up to at this late hour. The brothers have picked up a scent trail of the male Carnotaurus, and it has led them dangerously close to their nest. The male Carnotaurus can sense that something is wrong. And it is. Their cover is blown. The Giganotosauruses have discovered their nest. Normally, Carnotaurus would flee such an opponent, but this young male will not abandon his young. The female grabs as many eggs as she can and makes her escape, whilst the predators are distracted. This feisty young male has sacrificed his life to ensure the survival of his family. Two months have passed, and the female Carnotaurus has managed to survive. And she is not alone. Alongside her are her children, who she managed to save. Her dedication and her mate's sacrifice have secured a future for their offspring and given them the opportunity to continue the bloodline. Thank you for joining us on this journey through prehistoric Patagonia. Though this is the end of the series, it is only just the beginning of our dinosaur documentaries. Our next project will be in a new location with new creatures and new stories. Let us know what you'd like to see in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss wherever we go next.